Lesson 62. Our new word for this lesson may look familiar to you. It may sound familiar because it's related to our English word strategy. It's pronounced strategos, and it means general, like the leader of an army.
And one thing to notice for our listeners is, Bill, you lengthened out the eta, strategos, even though there's no long mark, because eta is inherently a long vowel.
That's right, Catherine. In this book, I really am trying to honor vowel lengths so that the way the vowels sound on the recordings is consistent with their actual lengths or durations in the language. We're trying to really pay attention to that and not just gloss over vowel length. There are some teachers of ancient Greek who don't fully differentiate between the vowels as far as their length. But in this book, we are really trying to honor the vowel lengths, really just for pedagogy, to help the students hear how words are spelled and to hear those rhythms, the rhythms of the language, you know?
Yeah, and as we've talked about before, it helps with spelling, it helps with internalizing the words, it helps with hearing almost the inherent kind of almost poetic sound of Greek. Because when you get to a certain level of really respecting the lengths, Greek almost sounds poetic even when it's not in a poem and when it's in prose.
Yeah, there's a sort of a musical quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even for a beginner, it really pays off to start working with these vowel lengths from the beginning. Don't think of vowel lengths as something you add on later. Like, well, for now, I'll just pronounce epsilon and eta the same. But then as I get more advanced, I'll start to differentiate. And I'll pronounce the eta longer and the epsilon shorter. I would say don't think that way. I would say, even as a beginner, just go ahead now and start getting accustomed to honoring vowel length, and it's going to pay big dividends for you as you advance.
Yeah, and forgetting about vowel length now creates more work for you later. Whereas even if it sounds funny to lengthen out the eta more than the epsilon now, eventually it's not going to sound quite so exaggerated, and the listener will get the hang of it, and so it's not going to be that difficult if you do it now rather than waiting till later and having to retrain yourself to say all the vowels with their own lengths.
It's a little bit more work now, but it pays huge dividends later as you get more advanced.
Mm-hmm.
So back to our new word. When you say the word, when you say strategos, don't make the eta really short. Don't say strategos. Don't do that. Linger a minute on the eta. You know, take your time with it, strategos. And that's going to help you get accustomed to the length of that letter. It'll help you get the feeling of the language, the rhythm of the language. And pretty soon, it'll just become natural, right?
Right. And for now, even, it can help to make it a little exaggerated. So, strategos.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with exaggerating a little bit as a student just to help yourself get the feeling of it.
Naturally, you will go from exaggerated to non-exaggerated. So it pays off to do exaggerated now, and just naturally you'll get less and less exaggerated as you get used to it.
And frankly, Catherine, I still do that now when I'm working with a new word. If I see an ancient Greek word that I'm not familiar with, let's say, for example, this new word is new to me, and I'm seeing it for the first time. I might sound through it like this. I might say, let's see, what is this word? Strategos. Oh, that eta there is long. Strategos. I might really exaggerate it, and I might even sing it and sound silly doing it to help myself remember that the accent is on the final syllable. I might say something silly like this. I might say, strategos.
Yeah.
And I might do that 10 times, almost as if I'm singing it. And when I do that over and over, I know two things, even without thinking about it anymore. If I say strategos, I know that that vowel there is an eta because of the way I'm extending it. And I know because of my vocal inflection that the accent is on the final syllable. And that goes
Right.
into my long-term memory banks. That becomes a memory device for me. So the sounds of the language can help you remember the word, can help you remember the spelling, it can help you remember the accent. It's just helpful to incorporate the sounds of the language, actually saying the words and treating this language as an actual spoken language with sounds. It can really help you in so many ways as a student. And so I recommend that to any beginning student of Greek to start getting used to these sounds.
Absolutely.
Let's take a look at a couple of these exercises before we go. In number 1, ho strategosemi, we have the word strategos with the definite article. So that says the general, and then emi says I am. So number 1 says I am the general. Notice how emi has given away its accent to the previous word.
And then number 2, emi strategos. That one has no article in front of strategos. And so it's just I am a general. But here, because emi is the first word in the sentence, it has retained its accent because there's no word before it to give away the accent to.
But then in number 3, we do have the definite article again. So ho strategos again says the general. And so then emi ho strategos says I am the general.